if I tried to adjust it as a whole. Now I could use the adjustment brush and paint in an adjustment at the top of my image here, but instead I'm going to use this graduated filter. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shift the temperature of the photograph, meaning the overall color of the photograph, towards yellow by pushing this over here, because I want more yellow appearing at the top of the picture. I might also bring up the saturation a little bit to make it more colorful. And you see you can barely see the texture in the clouds that are up here, whereas down here I can easily see the texture. It's much more of a large difference between bright and dark. So I might crank up clarity. Now by moving those sliders, it's just like using the adjustment brush in that nothing's happened to my picture yet. It's waiting for me to click on the image to tell it where it should happen. But unlike using the adjustment brush, you don't just click and paint. What you do instead is you click in one spot, like right here, and then you drag. And the adjustment affects your image at full strength where you originally clicked, and wherever you let go is where it stops affecting the image. Between those two areas, it will fade out, like a gradient would fade out. So I'll do that, and I noticed that I went way too far. That looks ridiculous, doesn't it? So I might lower my saturation. I might lower and not push the temperature quite as far and see what would happen. Maybe I zero it out and then slowly bring it up to say, okay, how far could I get away with? Maybe around there. See what happens with clarity if I bring it down or up. Sometimes I might end up changing the exposure to darken that. Now I find it to be distracting though to see these lines on the image and that little pin. That's just like with the adjustment brush. By default, it shows the pins all the time. And just like with the adjustment brush, you can go to the bottom of your screen and it says show edit pins. Default settings always. I set mine to auto. Auto means only show those pins when my mouse is on top of the picture. And that way I can just see the end result like this. And if I want to change it, move my mouse on top of the image, I can see it. So the pin represents the adjustment as a whole. The three lines represent where the adjustment starts being applied at full strength. So in this case, anything above that line is full strength. Where the adjustment stops affecting the image, which is to be the bottom one in this case, anything beyond that was not affected. And then the halfway point, which is where the pin is. And you can come up here and drag these things to extend that or compress it and control where is that 100% application point happening and where does it stop happening? Does it go extend all the way down to here, or does it do it more gradually there? The other thing you can do is if you grab the middle line, and I don't like clicking near the pin, I like clicking quite a distance away. When you click on the middle line, you can change the angle in case you need an odd angle. Choose undo though to get rid of my odd angle. So that is the graduated filter. You have the same general sliders available, and I find it to be useful. Here, let's see what happens if I turn it off. Here's before. See, my top part of my sky is not all that exciting. After, I got a lot more yellow in there. And I don't see the image here, but I have one other image I think I showed the other day, and that was we had an old car, I think, that was in a partially sticking out of a garage. And I don't know if you remember it from yesterday or not. It's a matter of, am I going to be able to find it quick enough here? But it was an old car sticking, there it is, right there. This one I think I also used the graduated filter on. When the original, let's see if I have it in here. It was done with an older version of Lightroom, I can tell with that. Maybe I used the adjustment brush on this version of it. But I have in the past corrected this using the graduated filter. Because if I reset this image to its original form, it looked like this. And this foreground needed to be changed, and I didn't feel like painting across the whole thing. So when I was in the normal adjustment controls, I came in here and I brought up shadow detail to see in that garage. And I could bring down the highlights. But if I do that enough to get the foreground to really come down, which is really amazing that I can, other areas like the highlights on the car's tires might be something that I don't like.